Welcome back to Reality Armchair, season 48 of Survivor, episode not 10. 10. um, I feel like this intro is gonna be a little long, so I'm just gonna put the timestamp up right now. If you want to skip straight to our commentary about this season or this episode of Survivor, first I want to go over the wall, which is we chose brown this time
Just because we haven't done it.
because we haven't done it. We're kind of running out of colors. We got Sixpence and None the Richer. I forget what that album's called.
Deluxe Anniversary Edition.
That's not what it's called. That's just what it is. I think it's green too, the record itself. That's probably my favorite green
That's
pressing
a
I
really
have.
nice green.
It's like an olive green. It's probably my favorite. I have a few green pressings that are like, they're more translucent green. But that's that record. That one's more of an album record for me. It's not one that I have like that many songs plucked off of it for a playlist. And then next we have Nancy Sinatra's How Does That Grab You? Record Store Day exclusive. I think it's a brown LP as well. Maybe no, it's orange. It's an orange LP. It's actually it's a beautiful pressing. It's kind of a little bit of a splatter. And then we have Miss Somewhere on the Big Steppers by Kendrick Lamar. Probably my favorite Kendrick album of all time.
It's a really good record.
It's pretty close between that and Section 80. And then above me, if I recall correctly, is System of a Down, Toxicity. I bounce between that one and Mesmerize as my favorite. That one is just a fucking classic. Came out, I think, a few days after 9/11, and it's a very political album. It's like perfect timing. It came out like
they planned it apparently.
It who knows? I'm not gonna leave this in. But yeah, so so those are the records. I'm drinking a summer ale, Sam Adams, and we're a little late on this episode. If you do keep up, because
our 1 to 3 viewers.
Yeah, we actually have gotten 3 subscribers.
We have.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was just 1.
No, I think it was 3 because we lost one from somebody who was watching our old content.
Well,
and I think we gained.
I think we only had like 4 views on our last video.
Yeah, I guess people were not as excited to see what was that David leaving.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess people weren't about it, but
they tapped out before David got voted out.
Which I was about to, but we're just late because we went to a concert yesterday and came back really late. Just had no energy to record it, so now we're here. We're on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, and I think that's it. I think we're just gonna get into the episode. I don't have a ton to say.
We did watch the episode yesterday.
Yeah, we watched it yesterday in our car, in the parking garage before going into the concert. If anyone's curious, we saw LSD and the Search for God. And I haven't told you this, but I actually DM'd them last night and asked them about their merch situation, and they did say that they're gonna release merch pretty soon.
Oh, really?
Yeah, online. So anyone for the 0.0001% that could be watching this that is a fan of them, it's coming.
Interesting.
But yeah, I don't really think I have a ton to say about this episode, to be honest. I think
I took some notes.
I think it's for me mostly it's kind of like back on track as far as like
boring.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think just like we'll get into it because there's like one specific moment that happens where I'm like, okay, that's just how the episode's going to turn out, and that's it. And then that's exactly what happened.
Yeah. Well, they come back from tribal council last episode voting David out, and Eva and Mary are talking, and she tells her that she'll tell her if she's the vote, but she wouldn't play the idol on her. Mary actually asked, like, would you play the idol on me? And she's like, nah, girl, I'm not gonna play the idol for you.
Nah, I don't think so. She won't even play for Star, so obviously she's not gonna play for Mary.
Yeah. And then there's like some interview that or something that Eva is saying that she just seems like she's really high on her horse, and I just feel like why are we giving her this, like basically handing her this game is kind of what it feels like.
Yeah.
So then Mary goes back to Star and Camilla, and then they start talking about plotting this revolution, and they want to get Joe out, and they talk about like bringing Mitch in, and then they show a clip of Mitch like being buddies with the four people, and or the four strong alliance, and they're just saying like Mitch would be stupid to vote with them, and obviously he needs to like come over with us, and we'll do a 4 versus 4 and make it a tie. And then the next morning, they're all sitting there. Was it everybody? They were all sitting there, and Mitch is telling a funny story, and he's like fully telling it with his entire body.
Oh, about the dog.
Yeah. And then like Shaheen and Joe are like laughing super hard, and then it shows like Joe and Shaheen trying to like be buddy buddy with Mitch and make him feel like he's part of their group, um and Mitch seems to be buying it. Like he seems like he's in this. I mean, obviously he's number 5 of a 4-person alliance. Like,
Yeah, and he that alone is what saved them from having to go to rocks, or like any
Yep.
conflict really is them reassuring him and dragging him along,
Well,
even though
and
he is
making
at the bottom.
making him feel like he's in their group.
Yeah.
And then Shaheen has an interview where he's saying like, if Camilla and Mitch were to wake up, and it's like Camilla's already woken up. Like
She been woke.
she's very awake.
She wide awake.
And then he just says they're on the bottom of the core 4. They should probably band together, and if they did, we'd be in trouble. But Joe's feeling good.
Yeah, because like I said last episode, if the whole fate of how this season is going to end is determined on this episode, this vote, because if they don't shake it up, then it's a 4-3 vote, and as long as the core 4 stay together, they make it to the final 4, at least into fire making, and then they'll figure out who gets in by fire making, which is looking like what's going to happen. So
yep. And then I don't know what time of day any of this was, but Star just talks about how she hates Mitch snoring. They show Mitch snoring in a hammock, and she's like, if we didn't need his vote, I would vote his ass off because of that snoring. But she actually like tells him,
and
I hate your snoring.
It's pretty obnoxious too. Like his snore is pretty bad.
Yeah. But I don't think I said this until later on. Oh yeah, it is right there. Star actually approaches Mitch about this plan, saying like, we need to vote together and make it go to rocks. And then Mitch actually has an interview where he's like, Star's a freaking joke.
Yeah, that was pretty crazy.
That was wild. I did not see that coming at all.
A pretty mean side of Mitch.
It was like, whoa.
Yeah, especially because like he does, I think, finish that sentence with like, she's a joke within the game. But how it started off was like, because he obviously is stuttering, so there's like pauses. It's like he just said she's a joke, and I'm like, oh my god, that is brutal. I mean, it's kind of true, but like, it's only because you guys aren't playing with her when you really should be.
Well, and I don't know that I totally see what everybody's saying about Star, because a lot of people said you can't trust Star.
She gave Eva her fucking idol.
I guess that's true, but like that was just like one switch.
No,
like,
but I mean that I don't think that's a knock to her trustability. I think it's her showing that she's willing to do something other than herself. Because spoilers, she wouldn't be gone if she didn't do that.
Mm-hmm.
And there's something else that Eva says within further within the episode that even blows my mind even more so than what Mitch says, because Eva obviously has a different connection with Star than she does Mitch. And what she says blows my mind and just like solidifies that I just don't like her.
Yeah. I think this episode definitely was like, no, Eva's not very nice.
Yeah,
she's not a nice person.
She's not for the girlies, and she's just not really looking out for anyone besides Joe, which is fine.
Well, she will look out for Shaheen and Kyle.
Yeah, I mean,
but when it came down to it, like, yeah, Joe would be the only person that she would look out for.
Yeah, exactly.
I just thought that was interesting that Mitch was like so against Star. I was like, I just really didn't see it coming. And then it kind of made that interaction where Star was calling his snoring out very different, like after he said that. Because like she's saying it to him, and you don't realize like Mitch's true feelings about Star until he says that. But and he mentions like Star voted for Mitch the night before. And I think Star is just like really playing day to day.
Well,
Like,
and that also was because of the alliance that he's with told Star to vote Mitch, right? Am I correct? Or did she vote Mitch by herself? Like that was
I
just,
honestly don't even remember.
I felt like they weren't in on the David blind side.
Yeah,
So they were told to vote Mitch.
I think that is true.
So Star was just voting with the group that he is so in love with.
Mm-hmm.
And basically it comes down to him not trusting Star. And he even says, I don't know if it's a little later in the episode, but he says, he kind of talks directly to the viewers and is like, I know people on their couch are going to be like, you got to start making moves. You got to wake up. And it's like, bro, you're right. This is literally the last time. This is the last time you're going to be able to do anything unless somebody personally offends somebody within the core 4 alliance. If not, you're fucked and you're just going home. And he's just talking about like, well, I'm in the top 6, so we'll make it to 6. And it's like, once you get to 6, who are they going to vote off next?
It just like it. So he talks about. I think this was later on when he said this, but we can talk about it now because he says you can't make these moves without trusting people, and
he doesn't trust Star.
He doesn't trust Star. He doesn't trust Camilla, and it's just kind of like, dude, it doesn't really matter about the trust right now.
Yeah.
Because if you do simple math, you would figure out that you are
not gonna get it to the top 4.
You're not gonna get anywhere. Like
Yeah.
you're not gonna get to the final with your current alliance. Like
yeah,
it's super simple right now. Like
yeah.
And I did listen to the On Fire podcast, and they said like obviously we at home have a lot more information, and maybe Mitch didn't realize like how strong the core 4 is.
I don't believe that.
I think that they make it super obvious.
Yeah, it's not like it's a well kept secret. Like from Merge, it was pretty clear who is running the game, and something that I kind of come to the conclusion with Mitch saying that is like the things that separate mediocre to bad Survivor players to great Survivor players is that great Survivor players are willing to make moves with people they don't really trust, and they're willing to take chances that they may, somebody who is more cowardly may not take, which is exactly what we saw with the Green Tribe this season, was that they were just kind of plucking off the easy decisions, and they were just kind of relying on an alliance that they weren't even like, they said they all trusted each other, but they were all lying to each other, especially with the Justin vote. Like Cedric voted for Say, and Justin didn't have a vote, so it just made everything all like weird. And I just feel like a really great Survivor player would work around not being able to trust the people that he has to work
with. Because you don't have to trust them. Like you have to make the moves that make the most sense for yourself.
You don't gotta trust them with your passwords or your social security. You just gotta work with them to make a play to further benefit both of you, because you're both in the same boat.
Yeah.
You're gonna be in the same boat with people you don't trust, and you're gonna have to both get out of that boat with whatever you can do. And it's just, I think that is what has really like dragged this season down, is just people just not willing to make moves. And it's like, it felt like most people that were outside of the alliance were like, all right, we got to make a move. And it's like, guys, it's too late.
Yeah.
I mean, this is literally it, and you guys blew it. Now there's nothing else to do.
Yeah, there really isn't. And not even like until we get down to maybe the 5 people left.
I predict it'll be Camilla and then the final 4, which is Joe.
Do you think Camilla will make it further than Mitch?
Oh, absolutely. Maybe. Maybe.
I think it'll be Camilla and Mitch. I think Mary's probably next.
Mary's next, unless she's next. I don't think there's anything she could possibly do. She doesn't even have a shot in the dark. There's nothing she could do.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, okay, so then there's a moment of Kyle and Camilla talking, and Kyle tells Camilla everything. Well, actually, no, this time it was Camilla telling what their plan is. Like, we want to get Joe out. We want
Yeah.
to make it go to Rocks, and we're hoping, or like you guys have a chance of one of you flipping before we go to Rocks, but we're willing to go to Rocks.
I mean, at that
And
point, what you have nothing else to lose.
yeah, I think they should have gone to Rocks. That's really
And I don't think they would. I mean, I don't think they would have gone to Rocks. I think someone from the four. I think Shaheen would have flipped.
You think Shaheen would
I
have
think
flipped?
Shaheen would have been like, "Nah, bro, I'm not trying to go to Rocks." I think he's really like. I think he's really happy with himself with how he's played this game,
I
and to lose to
I
Rocks would be horrendous. Somebody losing to Rocks like Mary, it's like, all right, you've already been like on thin ice throughout this entire game. Like if you lose to Rocks, you lose to Rocks, but your odds are more in favor of lose or of what your odds are more in favor with Rocks than not going to Rocks to get to the final four.
I don't know. I think with all four of them saying like they would be willing to go to Rocks, like Camilla, Mary, Star, and Mitch, they would have had to be very solid in that to make it go to Rocks.
Yeah.
When I don't think that Mitch Mitch definitely wasn't solid in that.
Oh yeah, I think even
So
when it
I think he
was,
would have flipped to whoever they voted for, which
I
would
think,
have been
I
Star.
think, yeah, if it would have gone to that point, I think he would have maybe flipped because he would have been like, I'm not trying to lose to Rocks. But realistically, like, you just have to take that shot, or else you're just gonna lose in a more embarrassing way.
Mm-hmm. And so Camilla is telling Kyle that that's their plan, and Kyle is just saying like how torn he is actually
Yeah,
between the two groups because he does feel loyal to the four, but he also feels loyal to his real number one, who is Camilla. And
yeah,
he just says like, I'll try to help her, but I can't be a number for her.
yeah.
And
He basically says he doesn't want to get his hands dirty with
yeah,
this. He doesn't want blood on
well,
his
and Camilla
hands.
says like, you don't need to, like,
Yeah,
I'm doing this. And and then we go into the reward challenge where Kyle actually ends up winning. I don't It wasn't that interesting of a challenge, so I don't
it
really.
was the
They had to like slither through the sand like a
oh, the reward
worm.
challenge. I was thinking
Yeah,
immunity. Yeah, that one was
because they separated it,
that was dumb.
rewarded.
That was like
Yeah.
they just fucking wormed up to the hill and then
And Camilla was in last and Kyle won.
yeah.
So Kyle chose Eva first, and I was just like, are you freaking kidding me?
She has
Like
gone on every
every
reward,
single
almost
reward.
every
Like
reward.
why?
Yeah.
Why? And then he actually chose Camilla, which was nice. I
Hmm.
mean, I didn't think that his reasoning was good enough to get like
I don't think
I would have
anyone.
questioned it. I would be like,
I don't think anyone
Camilla.
batted an eye though.
Yeah, but
But I mean, it is true though. She hasn't gone on a single reward. So if I were on the show, if I were realistically on the show, and I got to the reward portion, to make sure that nobody is mad at me, I would only pick people who have not gotten a reward because that's the fairest way to go. Picking someone like Eva is just not fair because she's been on every
it's
single
really not
reward.
fair to pick Eva, but ultimately Kyle did choose people kind of strategically. He
Yeah.
chose to keep Joe behind and Mitch to kind of make them like more angry
Yeah.
towards him so that they would like
Which
Mitch would vote with the four.
I did see somebody on Twitter say that this is the greatest move, one of the greatest minds within Survivor
Kyle?
because of his move. Like, I think the tweet was something like Kyle strategically choosing who to bring on reward to make everyone else pissed, to get riled up to make this move without getting his hands dirty is a genius Survivor move, and is like really underappreciated.
I guess it would have been genius if it had worked.
It would have been genius if Mitch wasn't,
But
pissy
also not quite genius because I think it's been used quite often strategically
as a.
picking people. Like,
Well, I mean, in this way though, like where the heat's not really on him, it's more so on this alliance and like wanting to get rid of the alliance. I mean, I guess yeah, maybe not genius, but I think it was a good move and like something different from this kind of um this season of just you know not really making these reward decisions, especially with a lot of thought, just kind of choosing your friends. I think there's been a couple times where they're like, oh, I'm gonna bring this person because they haven't been on one.
Yeah. And it did show that Mitch was very offended
Oh,
with
he was
Kyle
like,
not choosing him.
it was like he walked in on Kyle cheating on him. Like he was heartbroken. He said, do you not love me? Like he was really distraught, and I didn't really feel like there was enough footage to indicate that they were even that close. I felt like he was closer
Joe, who was
to
also upset.
Joe or Shaheen. Yeah, Joe was like, oh, should I really think about this, or should I look into this, or should I just think that Kyle's making the right move and making me babysit, the stragglers? Because yeah, if he brought in, but he brought Shaheen, right? To the
He chose. Yeah, he did bring
So
Shaheen.
if he would have brought in Joe, it would have been everyone from the alliance,
Mm-hmm.
which could have
Isn't
worked.
it, well, it's not very smart because you do leave the four of them, the other four, to talk more about getting everybody out or one person out.
Well, yeah, they might have flipped to Kyle and been like, well, let's get Kyle out. But I think that maybe might have worked a little better because Joe didn't really have to stand back. I think he could have went and they could have all been like really pissed off at this alliance and been like, we got to make a move.
Yeah. I think that maybe that would have given an opportunity for them to come up with a plan B if Joe did get immunity, because their only plan was Joe. And then once he won immunity, there wasn't really like talk of a plan B.
Yeah, there wasn't really talks of like, I think actually Mary said Kyle, right?
She did, but she said it to Camilla. So obviously that's not going
Yeah.
to get anywhere. Camilla did say like, yeah, that'd be totally fine. But it didn't really go anywhere. So but that was later because this was just a reward challenge.
Yeah, and did you write down what Eva said on the reward challenge?
In the reward challenge,
Or not on the reward challenge, what she said on the reward.
Oh, I didn't write down like what she said, but
by
she
the
suggested
way,
Star.
we should have brought something up with the chicken and waffles.
Oh yeah.
There was for some reason Jeff was trying to hype them up in a way which I haven't seen him do before, which is he was like, you guys are gonna get chicken and waffles, and he's like, say it with me, chicken and then he just like started chanting it, and then they were like chanting it, and then Shaheen
makes a song out of it.
he makes a song out of it and stars like doing ad libs, and it's possibly the most obnoxious thing I've ever seen on Survivor, and there's been a lot of obnoxious things on Survivor, and that was like, I don't know, it was just like,
that was up there.
It kind of bothered me in a way where it shouldn't have, and it made me feel like, am I just cynical, or am I just like cold-hearted, or it bothered me to my core. I did not like it.
Do you feel like it's too showy, or like too?
It's too much of Jeff being like trying to make a moment when there didn't need to be a moment, and it's like, and I actually saw a lot of people on Twitter are kind of upset with this moment and being like, I hope that this is left within the past of this era of Survivor, and that going past 50, we're not going to see bullshit like that. And then I actually saw a tweet that said, I really don't like Jeff because the way people act around him, and that people are disingenuous and more corny around him, and they're trying to impress him at every moment when they're talking to Jeff. And I think the biggest offender is Shaheen. Shaheen is a completely different person when he's talking to Jeff, and it feels like everyone's trying to be more philosophical and like have these metaphors and analogies whenever they're talking to Jeff, and try to make everything sound super smart. And that, I feel like, is so prominent during,
I guess that's true,
tribal councils.
Yeah.
Like everyone is just talking in a weird way where they're not really being themselves or talking how they are at camp.
They try to like pull themselves out of the game. Like they're not talking about specifically themselves, but they are.
It's more like they're talking about the show and like what everyone's watching. And then within that tweet, someone said, I really appreciate TJ Lavin, and that he's just like a chill guy and no one's really different around him.
But also,
it's a different show.
The challenge, you don't have tribal council. You don't have to like talk to TJ about what's happening.
And TJ isn't ever like, so guys, what's going on with the show? And like,
so it's pretty different.
He's not trying to like provide the show. I
actually wish that TJ would comment more about the gameplay happening.
He did a little bit back in the day.
He sometimes does.
He did a little bit back in the day when people were getting like rowdy, but I feel like he could definitely or not antagonize, but he could definitely like prod and get a lot of reactions out of moments that are kind of like festering, especially with the more sassy people on the show,
Yeah.
because they really build that shit up. But I just thought it was interesting because I never really looked at it like that, and I do agree that I think Jeff is he's kind of becoming too much of a
Kind of too big
character.
for the show.
He's kind of too much of a character, and then like you see it every season where people are starstruck to even be talking to Jeff, and
Mm-hmm.
I just think I don't appreciate how people completely change their tone and mannerisms or like their way of talking when they're talking to Jeff, especially at these tribals, and that's supposed to be like the most interesting
They
and
used to
like
be.
it's supposed to be the most interesting and best part of the show, and now it feels like it's just filler and just bullshit and just kind of like trying to summarize what's happening on the show, but not really because you can't summarize in a way where you're revealing what you're thinking, because if you do, then you're going to put a target on your back. So everyone's just saying bullshit. And
Although this season they haven't made anything different based off of a tribal council. Like they've gone in with a plan, they've stuck to the plan.
yeah, exactly.
So
Unless there's a shot in the dark.
literally everyone sitting there is full of bullshit.
Yeah.
And then yeah, like you said, like unless there is uh an advantage played, there's no deviating from their
Which
plan.
have all
And
gone
there
to Eva.
yeah, there have not been enough advantages, which is just absolutely insane. I think out of all the seasons in the past, at least the new era, this season feels like it has the least amount of advantages.
Yeah, or at least least amount of people looking. And I think especially at the rewards, there used to be a lot more. And the only time there's been one at a reward, it goes to Eva, and it felt like that one was
Mm,
placed for her.
yep, because
But
it was.
yeah, but I just feel like going forward past season 50, I think we can stick with the same format for season 50. It'll fit. We'll get, veterans of the show or like people or even like some newcomers like maybe like a Carolyn.
I think season 50 would be a good time to kind of do it in between the old and the new era,
Yeah.
where it's like a little bit longer of like a season, however many days they're out
Oh,
there.
like go past like
Because I
what's it
think they
used to
used to
do?
be out there like 39 days, and now
Yeah.
it's like
24 or something like
20,
that.
like 26,
Yeah.
like really a lot less.
Yeah, at least a week and a half.
And the only reason they did that originally was because of COVID. So they could go back to a different schedule where it's a little bit longer, maybe 30 days. Like,
Yeah.
let's just do a full month.
I just hope that past season 50, going into season 51, that they make some pretty big changes that hopefully shakes up the show enough to like where people are kind of thrown off guard. It feels like a lot of people that are coming on the show are super fans and they know what to do, and they kind of like know the right things to say to Jeff. And I just hope that like tribal council especially is like changed up in a way where it's more interesting and less predictable, because that's what it's become. Is it's become like pretty predictable. At least this season. This season is the worst offender as
Yeah,
far as predictability goes.
I don't know what they could do to
Yeah, it's not an easy.
jolt tribal council enough
Yeah,
to shake it up.
I think it kind of lies down to the casting as well.
Yeah. But yeah, during the reward, Eva says star. And what does she say?
So I actually just resaw the clip today because somebody was pointing it out and being like, "This is fucking ridiculous." But Eva basically said, "We just got to make sure that we win. One of us wins the immunity, and we got to make sure Mary and Star don't win immunity. I would hate to see one of them take away immunity, or hate to see one of them with the immunity necklace." And then she says, "Especially Star," which is fucking crazy
It
considering
is
Star gave her fucking idol. Like that is, it's so
wrong.
it's so wrong and so evil, and I'm kind of annoyed that no one else is like picking up on like that's a
Racism?
crazy well, maybe not racism, but like that's a crazy thing to say to somebody who is giving you such a giant, the biggest advantage you could ever possibly get in this
And she
show.
literally has never even considered it Star's idol.
Yeah, it's like it was my idol.
Yeah. Like she acts like she found it.
Yeah, it just blows my mind that she would even say that, and that really solidified me into not liking Eva because
Hmm.
it's just wrong. And
It's very
for
wrong.
her to basically plot for Star's downfall when Star said that she's like low key her number one at this point, which she kind of has been. Like, I'm gonna vote with Eva. She maybe didn't say that explicitly, but like, who else is Star's number one? She doesn't have any number ones. I would say her biggest number one would be Eva because she gave her her idol, and she like tried to make amends with their conflict that they had and like build a bridge to get past this. And then Star or Eva just kind of goes back and throws Star under the bus. And I mean, we'll see at the end of the episode, but like basically just threw her in the deep end. I think it's so wrong.
It's very wrong because this alliance is talking about honesty and integrity
Yeah.
when they're not that. Like they're only that when it benefits themselves.
Ironically, Star and Camilla have been the most
The most, and I would
honest.
even say Kyle too.
Yeah, I think he's kind of
Obviously
riding
he's
the
hidden
line.
his number one
Yeah,
that is Camilla,
he's kind of riding the line, but he is
but
pretty honest.
he's still been with his core four. Like they've still been strong. And he hasn't had to backstab Camilla. So he's been able, like, the only thing is that he's lied about Camilla being his number one. And, but as far as like honesty and integrity, like, just that alone, you're like, Eva is backstabbing Star like crazy, like, being so cutthroat towards her in that.
And the craziest thing is that she doesn't even need the fucking idol at this point.
No, she doesn't.
She could have played it for Star, which would have been the nice thing to do because Eva is just gonna burn the fucking idol. She's not gonna be in any situation where she needs to actually use it.
But the
I'm calling that right now. There's no way.
but why would she do that? Because Star is not in her core four. So
I
if she
guess.
wanted to save Star, she could have said, "No, let's vote for Mary tonight." Like, I don't want to vote
Yeah.
for Star.
If I'm Eva though, at this point I would just keep it as a memento and take it home because there's really no point of playing it. I don't think there's gonna be a single opportunity any of these people are gonna have to take a shot at Eva. It's too late and nobody's gonna want to do it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there's gonna be I hope I'm totally wrong, but I don't think that there's gonna be any instance where anyone is even gonna write up Eva's name unless it's voting for her for the $1 million.
Do you think that people would vote for Eva though? Like,
For the
she
million
doesn't
dollars?
really have a resume. Like,
Nobody has a
she
resume.
was given an idol.
Yeah.
I think that Joe could at least say that he wanted to
I
vote for
think more people
David.
would vote for Joe. I was actually thinking about this when I was driving today. I was like, I wonder who David is gonna vote for because we see David and he is fucking
He's
mean mugging.
pissed.
He's mean mugging everybody. He is so upset. Um, he looks. I think he's permanently gonna look like that for the rest of his life. Um, but I'm just wondering, like, who would even vote for? Because he's not gonna vote for Mary. She's not gonna be here
Mm-hmm.
next episode. Like, it's gonna be either I think Joe and Eva might be in the final three. And I don't think he would really vote for either of them. He wouldn't vote for Joe because he looks at Joe as somebody who backstabbed him.
Mm-hmm.
He even told, um,
I think he would vote for Eva.
yeah, he maybe vote for Eva, maybe Kyle. I don't know. No, I don't think Kyle because he was kind of suspecting Kyle. I guess he would vote for Eva, and
It depends on, like, at the end, if he hears speeches, if he can then like actually have respect for the game and
yeah,
respect the gamers
I
game.
do think that the final tribal or like the final three tribal, like when they're kind of pitching themselves, I think will be the most interesting because they're gonna really have to pull some shit out because they don't have a lot to like really go off of.
And they're gonna think that they played this honest and
Yeah, which I don't know how like Mary's gonna feel about that because she's gonna be in the council. I don't know how or the jury, and I don't know how Cedric's gonna feel about that. And Chrissy's gonna. I don't think Chrissy's gonna vote for.
that's what Camilla's been saying. Like, your jury management has not been good.
Yeah,
Like,
so I'm really curious on who, especially Mary would vote for, and who Cedric would vote for, because Cedric was voted out at a really weird time where he didn't really get to see too much.
Of what's going
Yeah,
on.
and he's
Yeah.
not given enough at these tribal councils to like see, oh, this is how these people are playing. It's like,
Well, he did have he can talk to Chrissy. Like they can
yeah,
talk back
I guess
at
that's true. They
Ponderosa.
could talk to each other, but it just makes me curious, like who they're gonna vote for.
Yeah.
Because I don't think really anybody besides Kyle and maybe a little bit of Camilla have much of a resume to go off of, and a lot of those people on the jury who are gonna end up on the jury aren't
They're
gonna
not
be
going to
looking
respect
for.
what the game that they
Yeah, they're
played.
not going to be
Yeah.
looking at Kyle and be like, "Oh yeah, that was a good play and that was a good thing you did to to blindside me and get me out."
Yeah. So we talked about Joe like being upset that Kyle didn't choose him for the reward. And then he actually goes to Mary for jury management, thinking I need some people that are going to vote for me on the jury.
Yeah, and Mary
So
sees
he
right
starts
through
talking
it.
to Mary, and Mary sees right through it. And Joe actually starts saying, like, the narrative behind voting David out, because she's talking about how she misses David or like is sad that he got voted out.
Which I think
And
this part is so funny, or like it's so refreshing.
what Joe says,
Yeah,
that Mary was the reason why David got voted off.
yeah. Which is like, I don't feel like anyone else would have really said that, and I think
Yeah.
I don't think it's entirely true. I think a little bit is true. A little bit is true.
I think it's true that was the narrative. Obviously, it wasn't true
Yeah,
as
I
much
think.
as Joe was explaining, like,
Yeah,
you manipulated him, you made him do this and that, and like made her sound like this all powerful woman. Like she was friends with him for like a few days.
yeah, and I think David was he was like that to his core. That's just
Mhm.
who he is. So you can't really blame that all on Mary. I think he got significantly worse when Mary was around because he felt more untouchable. But um, I don't think it's entirely Mary. But I do appreciate Joe being like, you know what, you're kind of the problem, and you're why he went home and why we had to get rid of him.
Yeah, it's just funny to talk to other players like that, especially when you're trying to get their jury vote.
It kind of reminded me of last season when Andy was talking to Rachel and was like, "Oh,
yeah.
I'm so sorry. You're basically gone. You're dead in the water.
Yeah.
But I just hope you know that you can look at my gameplay, and then that's what gets her, or that's what gets him out."
That was hilarious.
It kind of reminded me of that.
Yeah, that was so great. Mary approaches Mitch to get Joe out. So this is like the second person approaching Mitch to try and go for getting Joe out. And this is when he actually listens. Like he actually starts to consider, maybe I should vote with these four, because I might be dumb to vote with the other four. And then the immunity challenge happens. And it's also the time of the game where Jeff offers rice, and three of them would have to sit out to get rice. And Mitch straight up says, absolutely not. Nobody here is going to even consider it. Like, let's just move on.
Even though Mitch fucking sucked throughout this entire challenge.
I mean,
actually, he dropped like one time, and there's definitely a lot of people on there that should have taken that, because like Star, I mean, if I was Star, I would have been like, fuck y'all, you're gonna vote me out anyway, I'm not gonna give you rice. But Star, I don't even think she got past 4 blocks.
Yeah, Star was not good at it.
Mary didn't really get past 4 blocks. Mitch was going so slow, he would have never won.
I honestly think Eva should have sat out with how confident she's feeling.
Yeah, I mean, she really should have, but I don't think anyone else would have gone out, even though they really should have.
And it was Joe that ended up winning. Shocker. So
yeah,
it was his third immunity win. And it kind of angered me just because it was like, this is finally a challenge where somebody else could have won.
Yeah, it's like it's not a super physical. I mean, although it does take a lot of strength to hold a platform completely steady, and it does take a lot of bicep muscle, or a lot of,
I guess, a lot of control in your muscles, sure. But Rachel won it last season.
True. I just think it does play a factor, but it could have been anybody. Anyone could have won that.
Anybody could have won it. And there were several like chances where even Camilla got close.
Camilla got close. Shaheen was really close.
Kyle got close.
Shaheen hadn't dropped, I don't think, once. I think he dropped like once or twice.
Yeah.
And pretty much the whole challenge he hadn't dropped, and then he finally dropped when he was like towards the end. He was going pretty slow as well.
Which happens a lot. Like that game definitely is up and down like the entire time.
Yeah, Kyle was really moving the entire time, and he
Yeah.
was getting pretty good. Like he was, I think, getting up to the last two pieces, and he kept dropping,
Mhm.
but he was going really fast throughout the entire time. And then
Mhm.
when he would slow down is when he would actually drop.
Yeah. So then the whole plan to get Joe out is gone, and
Yeah,
that's when we see Mary pitch Kyle. And then I think I don't really remember like how it happened, but then the vote came down to Mary and Star. And Mitch actually tells Star that she should play her shot in the dark. And then tells Shaheen Star wants to go for him, for Shaheen. And so then Star becomes, I think, the main focus.
yeah, and she really should have played the shot in the dark.
She should have.
She basically said, "You know what? I'm not gonna do what Mitch tells me because fuck Mitch."
Yeah.
Which is true. Fuck
Yeah.
Mitch, but she really should have played it
She
because
should've.
that was her last opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
Even though it probably
Because
wouldn't have
her
worked.
vote wouldn't have mattered in that time.
Yeah, she wouldn't have saved herself. So.
And you know, she voted for Mary. We saw Mary vote for Star. So seeing Mary vote for Star, I think that was the only vote they showed us. Like right there, you know that they're not even trying. They're not even trying to go for the big group. And at that point, like Star, again, simple math. Use your shot in the dark. Like that is the only thing you have left.
Yeah, I mean they gave it to you for a reason, and just to not use it because you're trying to spite Mitch
is ridiculous.
And what he said, yeah, is a little ridiculous. And I'm personally fucking tired of Mitch. If he makes it, there's no way he's gonna make the top 3. But if he makes the top 3, good chance he wins. And if that were to happen, it would happen on my birthday first of all, and it would be a horrible day because I don't really want to see any of these people win besides Camilla and Kyle. And
yeah.
I don't really think it's looking that good for Camilla.
No.
I don't think
unless Kyle
sacrifices himself, which I don't see him doing.
No, Kyle wouldn't sacrifice himself. He would sacrifice somebody from his alliance.
Yeah.
So he would have to win, I think, immunity. He would have to win immunity, I think, towards the end. And if Camilla is still there, then maybe there's a way. But I really don't know that there is a way.
Yeah. Yeah. So basically they talk a tribal, and it's more or less.
I didn't even take any notes on
yeah,
tribal.
It's more or less the same. Like Jeff's just saying, so what's going on at camp? What's happening? And then they're all being
cryptic
and making their analogies and saying, oh, this is how it is. And then Star is really the only one saying how it really is. And then she's just being kind of animated, and it's cute, but it's like you're on your way out. Like
I mean, I love Star's personality. I wish that we got to see more of it. I wish that she would have been like that from the get-go, because that probably would have changed her game a lot. Like I think that she took a long time to get to herself out there.
Yeah.
And it basically was like Eva revealing that she has autism. I think where we saw
that was a turning point.
Yeah.
Because before that, I'm like, why the fuck did these producers even cast her? Like she is like by herself the entire time. She's not really connecting with her tribe. And kind of like when they did the mini merge, that's when she kind of started to blossom into her actual personality and be more honest, and be willing to talk to everybody else, and kind of sprinkle her personality around. And it was a little too late. Yeah. And
she had already created that view of her, I think, by that point. Like there was she should have been herself from the get. And I think that she really would have been able to create a lot more connections and alliances, and her game would have turned out different. I do appreciate that she made it further than David, though.
That's great. It's the only silver lining. That was kind of the only good thing about this season was David going. And now we're back on track to just a boring fucking season. I'm really not looking forward to the next episode because I know it's going to be Mary. And if it's not Mary, then it's Mitch.
I don't mind seeing Mary go at this point. Like, I'm over
I
Mary.
don't mind either, but it's like
I don't really see like anything changing from it being Mary. And then most likely it would be Mitch after that, because I think the pitch between Camilla and Mitch is that Mitch is like a bigger threat to win at the end. Even though I think as an audience we know that Camilla would probably win if she revealed her game.
yeah. I mean, if she were to say exactly how had she been masterminding,
Kyle.
yeah, I mean that would be a lot different than what Mary had done.
And as far as like people on the jury, I think that if Camilla got that opportunity to say what her game was, I think that she would win over Mitch.
Yeah, and Mary's pitch for this episode was basically just keep me one more day. I'm not as big as a threat as Star because I don't have a shot in the dark. I can't use a shot in the dark, and that was her big pitch,
Yeah,
and it
and it
worked.
works.
And she might try to do that with Mitch, but I think they're more closer to Mitch than they are Mary. So I think it's going to be Mary. But ultimately, it doesn't matter because they're going to get 2 top 5, and they're just going to vote Mitch out because he is not part of the core alliance, and
Well,
that's what he deserves. Honestly,
they might actually vote Mitch out before Mary, because I think they view Mitch being more of a threat to win immunity over Mary.
that is true. They did. That was something they pointed. Or no, I think they said that with. That is true, but I think they did say that with um, Star. They were like, Star's never going to win an immunity.
Yeah.
Like, maybe we should get out Mary because she has more of a chance, even though not a single person outside of the alliance has won an immunity.
That is true.
It's been Kyle, it's been Joe, it's been Eva, David. Those are the only 4 that have won an immunity. I don't know how the producers are looking at those statistics and being like, that's not really how it should be going. It should be more people outside of one alliance winning these immunity challenges, but I guess it's just okay with everybody.
Their argument is going to be like, well, we didn't tell them that the strong people should be in alliance. They're the ones who decided.
Yeah, they probably weren't expecting these fucking egomaniacs to like harp on this ideology of winning the game through loyalty and honesty, even though none of them are playing with loyalty or honesty.
They're not. They're really not.
So I'm finding really, really few good things to say about this season and about this episode particularly, because it really just made me hate more of the people I already didn't like. I didn't really like Eva that much, and now I don't like her at all because of what she said about Star. I didn't really like Mitch that much because he wasn't doing much, and now he's actively sabotaging the other people that are trying to make moves.
Yeah.
Because he's just like, I don't trust Star.
He was the only number, like the only person that they could have counted on as a number.
Yeah.
And he just totally blew it.
Because everybody was on board except for him, because he didn't trust Star, because Star wrote down his name the last night, even though I'm pretty sure Mitch's wrote down Star's name.
I don't even know, but it doesn't matter because we're in this vote now, and this is the vote that matters. Like,
exactly.
It's just so ridiculous.
And there's really no reason why Star would have flipped to vote Mitch out or like sabotage Mitch in any way. Like, there's no reason for him not to fully trust her.
Well, yeah, because it's not like Star is going to then be. I don't even know that she would have voted with Eva had Eva like pretended to be her friend. Past that, like, I think that she would be smart enough to know, no, these are the 4 that I'm voting with, and we're getting you guys out. And yeah, it just blows my mind that Mitch couldn't do a simple math problem. But
yeah,
I don't know what kind of teacher he is, but hope it's not.
I think he's a PE teacher.
That's kind of obvious.
Yeah. So I don't have much else to say. I think, like I said, I'm really not looking forward to the next 2 episodes because I don't think there's going to be any conflict. I think even on the coming up soon, or the preview for the next episode was pretty bland. I don't think they showed anything where it was I
honestly don't even remember.
Yeah, they didn't really show anything that indicated that anything was going to happen. And it just feels like a chore to get through. But this episode, there was like a glimmer of hope that Mitch could make a move. And then it was shattered. And then now this next episode, there's really no hope for anything. I mean,
no, because we're down to numbers.
It's the final 4. That's who's going to make it to the end. There's really nothing they can do unless they find an immunity idol, which I don't even know if it's out there.
I don't think they have them. The only thing that because usually it's like when there's 6 people left in the game is the last time you can use something like that.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I don't even think that there would be an idol out there.
Yeah, I don't know if there's anything out there. I don't know
Because
if
they're
anyone's gonna
fucking
get.
rigging it that Eva will win, or at least be in the final 3.
Yeah, I don't know if there's an advantage out there or an idol, or if they're gonna give out any the next episode, but it just really doesn't look like anything is gonna happen, and it makes me pretty sad that that is. We're just gonna have to waste our time and report on a episode that where there's really nothing to talk about besides. I feel like we've kind of gone over everything within this episode of how we feel about the show, and then next week we're gonna be sitting here in these same chairs and being like, it happened exactly what we said it just happened, and this is why we don't like it.
I mean, we did go from one episode of hating it to seeing David voted out.
Yeah, that was like
But-
highlight of the year for me was seeing David get out, and then now we're back to like, oh shit, we're back to nobody making moves, everybody kind of playing it safe, even though it's not safe, and yeah,
Well, and the only reason why David got voted out was because his own alliance flipped on him. So
Yeah.
it wasn't even like, I don't know. I guess it was like, fuck yeah, you guys actually voted him out. But it still was the fucking core alliance
yeah.
voting for who they wanted.
Not a single person outside of the alliance has made a move to further benefit
to like do anything in the game.
Yeah, and I actually saw on Twitter today as well, or maybe yesterday, somebody saying that I really wish Thomas was around because he would not have let this happen. And it's so true.
That's what we said.
It is so true. There's no way. I feel like Thomas was just on the wrong season.
I think Thomas was on the
I
wrong
think
season.
Kyle and Camilla were on the wrong season, and these other fuckers they can stay on this season because they deserve to be on it. And Mitch's fate on this show, I think, is going to be the most deserved fate. Anyone else? I don't think he honestly deserves to be on the trial, or the jury. But I'm so fucking over him. I think I'm.
Just because he didn't vote with the force.
It's just because like he's sabotaging the entertainment of the show, and
I mean, obviously he can't see that.
I guess
until he's watching
that's
the
true,
show.
and also like it's not his job to entertain us and to make us.
It's his job to try and win $1 million.
Exactly, but he's not even doing that right.
That is true. Like again, simple math problem, Mitch.
Yeah.
Figure out that you do not have a path to $1 million in this core 4. Yeah.
So
but I guess we'll just have shorter episodes.
Yeah, I think next episode 30 minutes max. Unless something crazy happens, which I don't think is gonna happen. I'm done. My bladder's about to explode.
Okay. Good night.
Good night.